Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video here at tablemon. I decided I'm gonna try and showcase all the decks that I talked about in the tier list video that I made. If you haven't seen that, you should definitely check it out, where I discuss the tiers and why each deck is placed in each tier based on popularity, based on perceived strength, based on results. Of course, there's room for discussion, so if you have any strong opinions, definitely go ahead and check that video out. But for today, we're going to be playing a little bit with Mega Venusaur EX, this very powerful card with the jungle dump attack, doing 240 damage. Not the most impactful and it's very costly, but you get to heal a little bit of damage. And when you combine Mega Venusaur EX with Meganium's wild growth ability, then that really makes a big difference. Each grass energy attached provides 2 grass energies instead. Therefore, you only need 2 to attack with Mega Venusaur EX. And of course, with the solar transfer ability, you can just move them around and have them attached to the right Pokemon. Now, important to note, this applies only to basic grass energy, both the movement and the double up. Otherwise, if it applied to special energy as well, you would be able to use potentially 4 Munkidori in a single turn by moving a prism or a luminous energy around. But that is not the case. And so how are we going to get extra energy into play? We are going to be using Teal Mask Ogerpon EX, of course. Its ability Teal Dance gets you that extra energy into play, and its Myriad Leaf Shower attack does 30 plus 30 more for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So every energy you have in play or attached to Ogerpon is now double. Therefore, for 2 energy, you're doing 210 damage, which is already more than what you were doing with 3 attached without Meganium. So Ogerpon already immediately becomes a very powerful Pokemon, and we also feature Toedscruel Slime Cold Colony, since we are playing the Forest of Vitality and 4 copies, so that we can evolve our grass type Pokemon as soon as we can, very quickly. That's gonna be a big deal, and therefore why not play one of the most disruptive abilities in the Toedscruel, since we can just bench the Toedscruel and immediately evolve after the first turn in the game, right? Because Forest of Vitality doesn't work in the first turn, but Slime Mold Colony does. Hard counter Golden Go serves pretty well against Raging Bolt, and it's a good card overall to have access to. Now, another attacker that we are going to be utilizing is that Regigigas with a Jewel Breaker for 2 grass energy. You can actually 1KO big Terra Pokemon like Charizard and Dragapult, most importantly, so a very nice utility card to have. And it can also be used to 1KO something like Cerulege, which is definitely very problematic for this deck in particular. Now, Mew EX and Fezandipiti EX both are very powerful Pokemon for draw support, but thanks to the energy transfer and energy multiplier abilities that we have in Meganium and Mega Venusaur, both Genome Hacking from Mew EX and Cruel Arrow from Fezandipiti are actually very good and viable attacks that we can use to pressure our opponent's Pokemon in play. And then finally, we have Shaymin to help us with some bench protection. Now, the engine that this player Jake Ewart used in order to get top 128 at Milwaukee, he was the highest placing Mega Venusaur EX player, only 4 Lillies and 3 Ionos, has felt pretty low. I definitely would like to have around 9 to 10 draw supporters in general for a deck like this, because 7 has felt a little bit clunky overall. Clearly it worked for him on the day not to get him too deep into day 2, but he managed to make day 2. And then we have 2 copies of Boss's Orders and 2 copies of Professor Turo for utility. Of course, we want to apply pressure to an opponent by chasing down a threat. And we also want to heal up. Since we have the free solar transfer energy movement, we don't lose any energies and we can evolve right back with Forest of Vitality. So tanking hits with Mega Venusaur, wiping off the damage and immediately having that up again, ready to attack, is very nice. Now, Bug Catching Set is an amazing card for this deck in particular. Looking at the top 7 cards and choosing any 2 of Pokemon or basic energy really helps thin the deck and finds you pieces, especially energy, to get them attached and be able to evolve up and draw extra cards and do damage. Combined with Ultra Ball and Nest Ball, it's a lot of very nice surge. So that really helps the deck going, which sometimes can take a little bit because of the low amount of draw supporters. And then we have recovery with Night Stretcher and Super Rod. We also have Counter Catcher, because this deck usually will fall behind since it does need a lot of time to set up. Scoop Up Cyclone is the A-spec of choice, being able to disrupt an opponent with Iono and heal up your Mega Venusaur or whatever other Pokemon, or potentially bosses orders and heal. Feels very broken, so Scoop Up Cyclone, amazing with its humongous high HP Pokemon. And then of course 4 copies of Forest of Vitality, very crucial for all of your Pokemon to be able to evolve quickly as soon as you get them down. Sometimes you can get a Venusaur and a Meganium out of the blue, which your opponent probably can expect, but won't be able to do much about it. And then 9 Grass Energy feels like just the right amount. Can't go lower than that because a lot of the, you want energy in play to move around, and all of your Pokemon require at least a couple of energies in play in order to start dishing damage. So 9 feels like a very solid amount. Overall, the deck, it feels nice. However, there are a lot of big enemies for it, such as Ceruledge, such as Raging Bolt, such as Goldingo, and even Gardevoir can feel a little bit tricky because the Meganium can get sniped sometimes by the Screamtail, and Shaymin of course can help protect against that, but it's not perfect, and bench space is a premium for this deck. So let's jump into some games, see how we do with this deck. Alright, so decent-ish start, however no draw supporters, no real access to powerful draw this upcoming turn. So gonna be up to the Nest Ball to really put in the work for us at this point in time. Alright, so seems like we are up against Mega Lucario, I would imagine, based on the Gravity Mountain. Usually other decks that run Lunatonal Solrock, which are Goldingo and Ceruledge, probably wouldn't be playing Gravity Mountain overall. So that's my guess. And there's a Riolu, which definitely confirms the Mega Lucario EX. So Mega Venusaur against Mega Lucario. Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully we didn't prize Mew. If we did, are going to be in a lot of trouble. We did not prize the Mew. However, this is still pretty bad, honestly. Still pretty bad. I'm thinking to go boss the Lunatone and then Scoop Up Cyclone Bulbasaur, which is unfortunate to waste our A-spec that way. We're gonna Ultra Ball. And I mean, we do have recovery, right, for that Ivysaur, even though we did nice the other one. It's fine. We are in such a dire situation that we really need to maximize the draw of a restart, and we are still in a pretty dire situation. I'm gonna keep this for now in hand. Yes, if I'm gonna lose something, I guess I'd rather keep my basics for now. Just, well, I mean, I also sort of want my opponent to KO me. I'm gonna promote the Chikorita, not happy about it, but if they KO me, then that activates Fez as well. But already we are in a bad spot just based on our really bad draws. My opponent immediately has the switch, goes into Riolu instead of Solrock. So not even going for that like easy knockout. Just trying to go for the Mega Lucario immediately, which does mean he needs 2 cards, right? The Mega Lucario in a fighting instead of just the fighting to start getting some prize cards. Let's find the Mega Lucario. I do feel like maybe playing it a little bit slower with the Solrock would have been a little bit better, but getting the energy on Mega Lucario is also quite good, that's for sure. But yeah, this is gonna be very, very problematic. We are going to be in a lot of trouble. The Makuhita gets established. And yeah, I mean, this deck, it's interesting for sure. but I don't rank it very highly. It feels clunky, it has a lot of Pokemon, it heavily relies on the stadium, and it just goes down to the 1KO decks, Ceruledge, Goldingo, and Raging Bolt, which are quite popular at this point in time. And I can't imagine like the Gardevoir matchup being too good. If you don't have Meganium, your deck probably falls apart a little bit as well. So overall, not the biggest fan of Mega Venusaur, but we're gonna keep at it. We're gonna try our best in this game, and if not, we'll move on to the next one as our poor Chikorita gets taken down. There, I mean, there is a universe where I could possibly pull off a Stadium Meganium into Power Up, into Mega Venusaur transfer, into Mew return KO. Like, there is a world where we can do that, but it's so unlikely, and we keep top ticking bad cards to even accomplish that. So, I mean, Night Stretcher is pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and flip the script before committing to the Night Stretcher. We do get a Lillie, thankfully. So this, I want to find Grass Energies, so I'm going to establish this, and so we have a chance to pull it off. We need like the best Lillie in the history of Lillies, honestly. This lets me evolve anything, right? Like I can just evolve any grass Pokemon at any given moment. So I want a Nice Stretcher back the Ivysaur, which is definitely a piece I need. Now, getting 2 energies off this Bug Catching Set would be pretty great, and we do. Awesome. So I mean, we are not halfway there, but we need Stadium, and we need Mega Venusaur and Bayleef and Meganium to get an energy. Not too bad. And where is the energy that's fit? I'm gonna attach to the Mew, I guess, for now. And then I'm gonna save this Bug Catching Set, because if I redraw that and I'm missing some pieces, if I get the Stadium, then that could actually let me search for more. I do get the Forest, but I don't get any of the other pieces that I really needed. So I'm probably gonna have to stall for a bit. I mean, what do I even give up on at this point? Sure. Let's just try to buy a little bit of time. And I honestly think it's gotta be the Ogerpon. I'm not happy about it, but I don't see what else I could possibly get rid of in this stage or in this spot. And I'm not gonna play the Stadium just yet. I feel like it could get easily countered. I mean, the other problem is my hand is dead yet again, right? So that's really bad. And even if my opponent whiffs, that does nothing for me unless I get a fantastic top deck, which that's what we're hoping for, right? Can't really ask for more. It's insane that if we got like the Bug Catching Set and we found Mega Venusaur and Meganium off of it, we actually would have pulled off the return KO. Now my opponent does go after my Ivysaur, recognizing that Mega Venusaur is a tough cookie to take down, right? We do have Night Stretcher, we do have Super Rod. They don't have a way to retreat just yet, which is pretty big. They need Air Balloon and Energy. So, or Switch, right? We saw they played Switch, so there is that possibility as well. If they don't KO me, probably gonna have to Professor Turo the Ivysaur. They don't have another Makuhita down, so they would need the raw Boss's Orders, which they don't always have. There is a universe, like we can certainly win if we go Mew KO into Mew KO, right? Just copying their own Mega Brave. We can possibly pull that off, perhaps. So not all hope is lost, especially when there's already 2 Mega Pokemon down in play at the moment. So we're gonna try. We are certainly going to try. Let's see. I'm guessing they whiffed. So that turn 1 switch, or they're done 2 switches actually. That's even better. So they do attach Do they have the air balloon? I'm gonna guess no. And they just concede. Okay, they were definitely not out of it. I don't think they should concede. I wish they had conceded so we could see more of that game. I think it would have been pretty interesting, but let's jump into the next one. All right, so we're up against another Lunatone Solrock engine. We don't have a great hand yet again. No draw supporter, but we have an Ogerpon. We have a little bit of thinning with Bug Catching Set. We have the next 2 turns guaranteed of draw with the Ogerpon, unless we get KO'd, of course. Let's find out. We might be up against another Mega Lucario deck at this point in time. I guess this Nest Ball will show us. Could be Ceruledge, could be Goldengo, so we don't know for sure until we see a different basic of this. And yeah, it is Ceruledge, so this is gonna be a very rough matchup for sure. We do have Gigas though. We do have Gigas. Okay, so I'm gonna go Bug Catching Set because I do want to find like my Chikoritas and my Bulbasaurs, and there's one. Probably also want the Ivysaur at this point, I guess, just for potential evolution steps next few turns. I feel like I just have to establish the Fezandipiti at this point. Like, I have to assume my Ogerpon is just going down this upcoming turn. If I don't find something, I could Turo and Teal Lens again as I find my second copy of Ivysaur. Yeah, overall not great. I'm gonna go ahead and attach to a Bulbasaur, and then if the Ogerpon goes down, it's what I need for draw, right? So it is what it is. The fact that they already have their legacy energy is very, very bad. I think my best hope is that they just don't do much for a couple turns. But like I said, we do have Gigas. We do have Mew EX as well to copy. What's the attack name? Raging Amethyst, in order to KO them back. So we have options. How realistic they are, that's the other problem, because we didn't play a single draw supporter yet. So, and they're like just flying through. And they're doing their basic thing. We are 2 games in, having played 0 draw supporters on the first turn. So that's just not great overall. The deck doesn't play too many, so this is to be expected. And it's like, this deck just tries to fit so many things, but it just can't fit any good ones for the most part, right? So, okay. So there's a knockout, as expected, more than enough damage. This might be a quick concede from us. Honestly, might not even be worth staying for much longer. Let's flip the script, see what we can get. Still no draw supporter. All right, so another pretty mediocre hand overall. Have a couple items we can play. Still cannot find a turn 1 supporter, but we're up against Gardevoir, the PDIF. With our tanky HPs, you have to imagine, our healing possibilities as well, you have to imagine we have some possibility to deal with Gardevoir, especially with well-timed Turos. However, we immediately see the Drifloon get laid down despite not knowing what they're up against. We just find that immediately, which I think it makes sense that the format, or Gardevoirs in general, now go towards Drifloon use just because of the higher HPs, the big basic Mega Absol tag, Charizard, Grimmsnarl, whatnot. Of course, Drifloon is frail, but it is your best single prize attacker, right? So, okay. Well, we're in a very dire spot, honestly. Like, my next turn could be pretty good if I just evolve everything. I'm not entirely sure, but that only matters if I can find basics, right? So, all right, well, we're not finding any basics of the Bug Catching Set. And now, and now what? I need to think about evolving. I could also try to draw a card. That seems very underwhelming. I could also bind down this Mew. Like, that doesn't seem like a terrible idea. Just bind down. Try to buy some time. Don't know that that's good enough though. I'm gonna go for the Teal Mask Ogerpon. I'm not super happy about it. This is just one extra card. So maybe the Chikorita was just better overall in the long term. Okay, well, never mind. Everything's cancelled. Ogerpon is broken. As we got the Lilies. Let's go. And we only find one basic, but that is completely fine. We're just gonna pass. So we have another Lilies for next turn. We have a counter stadium as well if necessary. We have 2 more energies as well. So things are looking much better now. That one card definitely made a big difference. We'll see how or what our opponent can do. Best case scenario is them playing like an Artisan to counter our Forest and then not playing Iono. That means we get to establish our Chikorita and then Forest of Vitality. That would be pretty neat here for us. They seem to have a fully blinked out deck. They really like their shiny Pokemon. I don't like that they have different energies and like purposely choosing to use shiny Pokemon for deck aesthetics as opposed to using the right or the optimal worlds and the optimal Kirlia. Very questionable, right? That shows that you're playing as someone who's not like super competitive. Yeah, they just want their deck to look pretty. They're using a very good deck, of course, and the routes and the Kirlia are not the most important key aspects, but like, why wouldn't you want to play the better cards, right? Now we see the Bravery Charm attached, we see the Body Puffin onto the Body. That's gonna be quite annoying, but it's also a bench space they no longer have for the future. And they did play the Artisan, which is great. And we will be able to get that Chikorita down and play Lilith to find just more stuff this upcoming turn. Whilst they go Night Stretcher for a Psychic. That, which makes absolutely no sense. And I mean, that's discouraging to see just in terms of the potential for my opponent's future plays. There's zero reason to play that Night Stretcher at that point in time. So let's go find ourselves our Chikorita. And let's go ahead and draw a card. And we get another Ogerpon. Okay, we will take that. Let's go ahead and establish yet another energy. On an extra card, Scoop Up Cyclone. Can't even play it. Let's play the Forest. And we will play another Lilies. Now, under item lock, it's definitely going to be harder to get to our evolutions. We didn't even find the stage 1s. So for now, I'm just going to deal with this Body immediately. We didn't see much strength from my opponent last turn overall, but they did research, so they could just have Guardy and a return KO. But I think starting the price trade is completely fine. We really need to find our stage 1s, and the best way to do it is if we are free from the item lock, because we can play Ultra Ball, because we can play the Bug Catching toolkit thingy. So, and if either Bulbasaur or Chikorita gets sniped by a potential Screamtail, we do have Night Stretcher as well to get them back. And now that it isn't our first turn, we can just immediately evolve into either one, or into any of this Pokemon we need. So, precarious situation. It is a big investment of resources to go into that Ogerpon. You know, one of my opponent's cards in hand is that Psychic Energy that they just attached. So, I mean, maybe they were playing around a potential return Body, if you will. Still pretty bad though. Still pretty bad. And it's just gonna be a Mind Bend. So I don't want to help my opponent with the Iono, although I also sort of did want to, just so that we could get a better game going. Now we did top deck the Lillie, which is pretty nice, and I will be able to establish either Mega Venusaur or the Meganium. I think Meganium is just overall more impactful here. for sure. So let's go ahead and evolve. Let's go ahead and evolve again. And I don't even need to play either supporter. I have the guaranteed KO if I just go retreat, Night Stretcher the energy, Teal dance, and attack, right? Which seems good. My energies are more spread out. I get an extra draw for the Lillie. Like, I'm definitely not gonna Iono, but part of me wants to Iono to give my opponent a better hand so that they actually play the game, because they might just concede if they don't draw much. But we also are just hyper competitive and we're trying to win, so no easy buckets for anyone. We're not gonna let anyone get a free win. And all right, can we find Mega Venusaur off this bug catching set? No, we cannot. No, we cannot. So no energy transfer for us quite yet, but we do get the knockout, 210 damage. That's a lot of damage for only 2 energies. That's pretty cool. And goodbye, Monkey Dory. 2 prizes ahead. My opponent could most easily return KO now by copying, by using Gardevoir if they have a Darkness Energy as well. They didn't have much last turn. We know they don't have a draw supporter in their hand. There's the Gardevoir that was probably off the top, so they might not do much anyways. They can attach 2 energies to the Drifloon, and that's 4 times 3, 12. 120 damage, sorry, so not quite enough to KO either Teal Mask. They also don't have a third Psychic to attack with Gardevoir. So yeah, I mean, honestly, this game might just come down to my opponent not having much to do. Did a Night Stretcher, now it was well timed. Does get back the Dark Energy. This will allow them to draw an extra card with the Mew. 2 cards it is, okay? And now with that Clefairy, they can KO my Ogerpon. So now they do have a guaranteed KO, but at this point, it's a pretty... our win, if they do use Clefairy to KO me back, thanks to the damage from Monkey Dory, it's pretty easy to just KO them back with my own Ogerpon and then find a ghosting effect to take down the Mew, or maybe even have enough energy down for a final Ogerpon to knock out Gardevoir EX if it comes to that, right? In case they like get rid of the Mew EX somehow. Counter Catcher is annoying though. Okay. They're trying to get rid of energies, I guess, or they're not realizing that they had the knockout with the Monkey Dory damage, perhaps. I don't know. But they're gonna take 1 more energy from my board. Completely okay with that. Hoping my Fez and my Ogerpon can find me the Mega Venusaur so I can transfer a few energies as well. Oh my gosh, why are they doing this? No shot they just did that. They had the knockout with Clefairy and they're choosing to go with Monkey Dory. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm gonna say that's gonna be the game. We're just gonna play it out. And yeah, I mean, you can't beat a Gardevoir that doesn't draw well and chooses not to get KOs for some reason when it's very easily achieved. Yeah, they had 2 Psychics, right? And Full Moon Rondo does cost 2 Psychics, so it is what it is. Hope our opponent beats up just a little bit. There we go. Finally gets the attack off. Okay, we have shuffled the deck. Do I want to Nest Ball for anything? Probably not. So you know what? I'm just gonna go Teal Lens. And Teal Lens again. No boss's orders. They're down 2 Night Stretchers, so Toedscruel is definitely not going to be useful. I'm gonna Scoop Up Cyclone this friend. Promote you, because I'm definitely gonna attack with that guy. We're gonna go Teal Dance again for a third card. This turn we're looking for Mega Venusaur, which this video is supposed to be about, yet I have not used it once. Okay, we're gonna bench the Fez just in case my opponent finally decides to get a KO somewhere down the line, and even to like entice him like, hey look, Lillie's Clefairy can actually KO me now. But I mean, how does my opponent even come back here? Maybe leaving a Meganium stranded, but I'm 1 energy away from retreating it and I have Turos. Maybe leaving, I mean, eliminating all my energy, but I have a bunch and I have Superrod. They do bench Fez, so that was probably their top deck, or off the Mew EX last turn. They didn't have the bench space for it after they benched the Clefairy, so now they can KO. Hopefully they do something, right? Something impactful, something meaningful. Which, other than taking the prizes, I don't know what is the most meaningful thing. Maybe if you're playing the long game, you try to go like Iono Countercatcher, Meganium KO with your Gardevoir, because that takes away my double energy potential, and Iono's me down to 3, even though I have Mew and Fez, and you do it with a really high HP Pokemon, right? I mean, that's like the one thing I can maybe see in this spot, but overall, I don't see it. I honestly don't see it right now. They do finally counter the Stadium, which I'm probably the slowest Mega Venusaur deck ever. Do promote the Drifloon, it's fine. I guess they just really wanted to use Drifloon, I don't even know. But this is completely okay. We could even use Ivysaur at this point to knock out the Drifloon. No problem. With no Monkey Dories around, there's no threat for a potential Mega Venusaur, so hopefully we are able to finally find that guy. I think I'm gonna Super Rod back 2 energies and the Ogerpon, and then Nest Ball that back. That's probably the best Pokemon to have on my bench. But you do get the knockout, perfect. Not the most impactful one, that's for sure. And the 1 prizer doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, because then I'm just 1 Boss's Orders away from winning the game. And there's the Mega Venusaur, pretty nice to see. I'm still gonna do the play that I mentioned. I put these back, get back the Ogerpon, and then all that matters now is a copy of Boss's Orders. So let's go ahead and do this, and let's go ahead and Teal Dance. Now I can move the energy around, so I don't need to worry too much on where the energies go to. Go ahead and Teal Dance, Teal Dance. Should I be using Fez? Like, sure. List of deals. I want to get to a Boss's Orders, I guess. And there's the boss. So here's what I'm thinking. If I could use Fez. This doubles energy anywhere, right? And this transfers energy anywhere. So I could use Fez to knock out a Kirlia. No, I just need to deal with the active. I kind of feel like Jungle Dump is the way to go. I could go Boss KO this turn as well. Doesn't sound bad. Alright. Like, what I'm thinking is there a way to like 1 KO whatever's active next turn if I attack with something, right? So if I go Fez, KO Drifloon, I'm just gonna use Mega Venusaur because this is a Mega Venusaur video. That's all I'm gonna do. And honestly, I kind of want to transfer all the energies to the Mega Venusaur because Mew can't KO me, and Drifloon's maximum damage output is 330, and with what, possibly 30 more from a Monkey Dory, assuming they also somehow get another bench space available for Drifloon, that's 360 damage. So they shouldn't be able to KO me no matter what, right? Like this Mega Venusaur should be invincible at this point in time, I believe. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty certain. Now that Turo is fantastic because if my opponent now chooses to attack with Mega Gardevoir, then thanks to Turo, I don't have to pay 2 energies. I probably still KO. I don't even know the maths. 2 energy, 4 energy times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24, plus 3 is 27. Okay, never mind. Game's over. My opponent just researched, so I have boss in hand to just outright win the game. Even if my Meganium gets sniped by that Screamtail a little too late. And yeah, a pretty straightforward game overall. Not the most competitive Gardevoir for sure. But yeah, I don't even know. Like there's Body, which is not standard anymore. Like it hasn't been in a while. Based on the fact that there's 11 cards left in my opponent's deck and not a single Lillie inside, I'm guessing they don't play Lillie. We don't even know what ace spec they play. Could be on for stamp, honestly. We haven't seen Iono either. There's only 3 supporters in the discard ball, so yeah, unfortunately, not the most competitive Gardevoir match, but against a more competitive Gardevoir deck, Mega Venusaur I don't think can do, like it can try, right? But Gardevoir will always have a big advantage overall. So Mega Venusaur is a cool deck, sure, but it's not the most competitive deck at this point in time. And I think when there's less things that 1-KO it in Raging Bolt and Golden Go, it could be better, but Ceruledge will survive rotation. And Ceruledge, as the deck it currently is, it's actually like perfectly fine and it doesn't lose much, if anything. So like nothing comes to mind that it loses that would be impactful to it. So if Ceruledge remains a big part in the metagame, if it continues to do possibly well overall, then that ugly fire weakness is a big problem for this deck for sure. Now, yeah, I mean, part of being a competitive Pokemon TCG player is recognizing as well when the game's over. I guess my opponent doesn't know that I do have the boss's orders, right? But I don't know, the beginning turns were questionable. Despite the dead draw, I think my opponent might have been able to play a little bit better, not using the correct routes and Kirlia, so definitely plenty of room for improvement. And yeah, we're still in a pretty good spot. If my opponent does take a 2-prize knockout here, I guess they put themselves in a situation where they could win with one last counter catcher, which they might have. I mean, we see 2 counter catchers and a boss, and we see no Ionos and no Lilies. So who knows what they have. I mean, the fact that they're down to 8 cards and we see, what is it, 1 Arven and 2 Research, either they prized so many supporters overall that it's crazy, or they just don't play them, right? And that would explain the dead draw at the beginning. So perhaps that's the reason. I don't know why my energies are looking so weird and there's a gap right there. But yeah, Mega Venusaur overall, not the biggest fan in terms of like its viability in the format. It's a fun deck. It has a lot of cool pieces with the stadium and Meganium and the extra energies and the moving around and the healing, but a deck's fun factor isn't good enough to bring it all the way to the top. If you're trying to be more competitive, Mega Venusaur probably remains in the C tier at this point in time. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these gameplay videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. ¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyper Beam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local G18 y G11 en el centro comercial Otay.